G'day guys, Chris Dyer here. Today I'm revealing my Supercoach team for season 2022. So this is my first attempt for the year, and of course after the preseason supplemental period and after I've seen some preseason action there'll be no doubt quite a number of changes. For some quick dynamics I've noticed this year in having sort of quickly gone through everything, I've really noticed there is substantial value in terms of both midfield rookies but also midfield mid prices. So that's something I've really capitalized on. But the rookie options, particularly in defense and up forward, are really poor. So fingers crossed we get some good options presenting through the preseason supplemental period. But as things stand today, I'm not really too confident in too many of the rookies, both back and forward. So given that, look, I'll probably sort of go heavily in any other direction that I can as a result. So be it premiums, be it mid prices that I have some level of confidence in. So that's roughly sort of the approach I'm taking there. But yeah, to go through the team and the names. So D1, Jake Lloyd, easy pick. Durable, he's probably a little bit underpriced. I think he averages probably your 110 to 115. So yeah, we'll have to sort of see how that goes. But yeah, look, the only risk there is if Braden Campbell starts taking the kickouts, basically. So unless he becomes the go-to guy out of defense, I don't see what risk there is really for Lloyd. So yeah, I think he'll have another terrific season. And yeah, pretty obvious D1 for me. Aaron Hall, that's one I'm slightly shaky on, to be honest with you. The keys there are that he's durable, and look, he's lacked durability, so you really just want to get a whole season out of him. The other risk factors, so he's over 30, so maybe he starts to slow down, but obviously looked terrific last year, so there's no specific reason yet to suggest that that'll happen. Maybe another risk factor could be there are other younger defenders for North Melbourne they try and sort of put into the spotlight, give a bit more responsibility to, so there's some of the things, but yeah, look, I'm expecting at this stage, at least by making this selection, that Hall sort of plays the same sort of game and same sort of role that he did last year, and if he does, well, he can replicate his scoring, basically, is my thinking at this stage. Lockie Whitfield lacks durability, but very underpriced, so that's the risk-reward equation, but for me, he's probably a top 2 scoring defender, so given that, even if he was more pricey, frankly, I'd probably still be picking him, so yeah, we'll have to see there, but yeah, hopefully he's healthy this year. And if he's named round 1, he's in my team. Similar story with Sicily. I think he's probably a top 6 scoring defender on the condition that he's playing a high sort of end intercepting and rebounding role from defense and is taking the kickouts. If he's ticking those boxes, Sicily will more likely than not be in my team, given that sort of underpriced premium status. So yeah, there's certainly quite a strong appeal for me there with Sicily. But yeah, look, if he's looking like he'll play forward or some other weird thing is the case, well, then yeah, he might not be in my team. So we'll have to see. It's all about role for Sicily, really. Marchbank, look, I think he's underpriced. He could go for maybe at 70, maybe even up to 75 if he's allowed to be a pretty prominent interceptor. So yeah, look, we'll have to see there. But yeah, look, given the average at very best rookie options in defense, yeah, look, Marchbank I'm sort of okay enough with, but is one where if during the preseason supplemental period some good options emerge, well, he could be gone from my team in a hurry. McDonough, if he's listed round 1, he's in my team and starting on my field as my current stance, certainly. He's such a good kick that he could be taking kickouts for Essendon, honestly. He's that good of a kick. He's Daniel Rich 2.0. In terms of from defense, he'd be already, even without having played a game, a top 5 sort of rebounding by foot defender. So, and he can provide run as well. So, yeah, really be firmly aware of McDonough, because if he's listed round 1, he should be in your team. He's my absolute highest conviction of all the defender options this year. So, yeah, so it's just looking, is he in round 1? O'Driscoll, have to see if he's going to be playing round 1. He's got the positional scope to play, whether it's wing, half back, on the ball. So we'll have to see how he's being used and if he's going to be in there. Maybe there's some vacancies. We'll have to see, given there are some holes, particularly outside and through the middle. So perhaps on a wing, I'd suspect O'Driscoll will compete for a spot. But whether he's best 22, not sure at this stage. I'd personally probably have him a little bit out of there, but yeah, look, Fremantle are thin enough there that maybe he gets a shot. So he's in there for now, but if there's some good options through the preseason supplemental period, maybe if St. Angus Baker gets picked as a really good rebounding defender, I would be putting in a Baker ahead of a O'Driscoll. But we'll have to see if there's any good options that really look better and are more likely to play round one. Sam Skinner, again, we'll have to see if there's another round one listed guy, but yeah, look, terrific season in the Sandful at league level, and he was rightfully sort of, I guess, contracted by Port Adelaide to make his return to the AFL ranks. So just absolute beast of an interceptor. Look, obviously, Alir is going to be the, I guess, number one intercepting option in defence for Port Adelaide, but yeah, look, with Skinner, I'd still give him a very strong license to go for his intercept marks and all that. So yeah, for a bench position, I'm comfortable with Skinner if he's named round one, that is. So whether it's forward or back, you can choose, but I'm pretty happy with that pick for now as things stand. McRae and Steele, look, it might sound like a weird thing to say. I'd almost prefer not to have them just because there is such an incredible amount of value, both mid-prices and rookies through the midfield. But look, just as captain options, it's just sort of, I feel obliged to have two uber premiums who are your genuine captain options from week to week. So McRae and Steele are those guys, solid picks, nothing wrong with them. Neil, underpriced premium, he could be a top 3 scoring mid. So yeah, given that and given his price point, he was an absolute must for me. Matt Rowell, I think he averages 100 this year, so very, very underpriced. And I think ultimately the Rowell you'll see this year will be somewhere in between what we saw from him in that first 4 or 5 games and what we saw from him last year. What we saw from him last year was very much out of character, and that's not the standard of footy that he's capable of. So I'm expecting a far improved Rowell and one who's very motivated to come out and show the world that he's no average midfielder. So fingers crossed for him, his body's right, but if it is, he can get some premium scores. So yeah, for me, I just feel he's a must on that basis, assuming he's looking right. Another of that sort of type, Jared Berry. So I reckon he's averaging 90 to 100 this year. Grossly underpriced. He's making a heap of money for you if you've got him. So yeah, very happy to have him in my team and have another Brisbane Lion there. Jai Caldwell, again, I think is probably that roughly 90 average this year. So very much underpriced, could be even nearing 100. So just a really good ball-winning midfielder who I think is going to, again, play a very prominent role for Essendon, or at least what he would have played last year. So yeah, I'm very comfortable having Caldwell in there and very keen to have him in my team, assuming all looks good during the preseason. Charlie Constable's the one I'm slightly shaky on, and that's just because I see a sub-risk potentially. But if he's a clear best 22 player, there's no sub-risk. He's averaging 90, I think. So, yeah, given that sort of level of scoring upside, I've got him in my team for now. But if he's not looking like he's going to be best 22, or maybe he's a sub-risk, well, then I can very quickly bring in, whether it's a Horn Francis, whether it's a Neil Erasmus. They're both great options if you're looking for more rookie mids and you want more rookie mids than I've got here and not such a high concentration of mid prices. You could very easily sort of do that approach. So Nick Dacos. So what you need to know is that he went for 36 disposals, 2 goals a game last year. Walsh, Bailey Smith, Rowell, none of those guys did that as juniors. Not the disposals. They were all sort of 30 or 32 goals. They weren't even a goal a game. Dacos was a genuine 2 goals a game at the same time. So you have to start Dacos on your field, and if you don't have him, well, yeah, you obviously haven't listened to me enough. So, yeah, with Dacos, look, if Collingwood are smart, they'll use him as a centre square midfielder, just because he is such a prolific accumulator and he can sneak forward, of course, and hit the scoreboard. So I'd use him in that sort of rotational role. There's some talk he'll be used across half-back. I think that would be a silly way to use him because he's not that type of damaging user. So I don't understand that vision at all if that's what Collingwood do. But if he is used back there, well, fine. He's still going to find a heap of the footy. So he should still be in your team irrespective. So yeah, that's my stance on Dacos. Going through the bench options, and these guys can all start on your field. It's just basically, I wanted all these mid prices on my team, so that's why I went with this approach. So Hobbs, Ward, Clark, they can all average 70 a game. So they should, as long as they're playing round one, they should be in your team. And Dacos is a lock for round one, in case you weren't aware. So Dacos, had he been on an AFL list last year, would have been in Collingwood's round one team. So that's how advanced he is. But yeah, Hobbs, look, he was, again, sort of AFL ready a year back, so he was just that good. Ward, he can just step into a midfield. So you've got that quality of player. Clark, mature ager. Have queries around the role he'll play. So what he's done in the waffle, he's been a tagger before. He plays a lot on the outside, despite what you'd think being that sort of tall midfielder. So they're the risks that make me say, look, he's probably not someone to start on the field, because I don't think he's necessarily going to be told, go in the midfield, go win the ball. I don't think that's what's going to be happening with Clark personally. So just based on how he's been used in years past and really, I guess, his core competencies. But high volume tackler, still finds a heap of the footy. So yeah, assuming, again, round one listed, he should be in your team. What I've done with the midfield, though, you'll note there's no dual position players, and the reason is very simple. If I could, I would have 2 teams worth of midfielders. There are so many just cheap midfielders that will make a heap of cash that I just don't like the opportunity cost there ultimately to miss out on that. And the other thing you'll notice as well, and you'll notice it with Bruce in a moment as well, is I've got a lot of money sitting on the bench, and there's a very deliberate reason for that. I think there'll be a heap of players missing through sickness this year, so having money on your bench, I don't think will be, I guess, such a crime this year in Supercoach or AFL fantasy terms. So, yeah, I think you'll really need that bench cover and some really solid bench options. If you just have guys who aren't playing, I don't think you can really get away with that. And also, given I think there'll be players missing quite regularly, I'm not going with the captain loophole option this year. I didn't find it all that useful last year or even necessary, and I can't imagine I'll need it this year either, given I think there'll be real sort of availability problems for a lot of guys. And with my team, you'll also notice a flavour towards, and you'll notice with the forwards as well, there's a lack of durability. So, yeah, look, given that, I'm also happy to have a bit more sort of money and scoring capability on the bench as well. But going through the rucks, so Grundy, so here's my R1, durable, underpriced. I think he boosts his average a little bit, so assuming he's motivated and really puts in, has a great preseason. So here's a captain option. So yeah, there's no reason Grundy shouldn't be in your team. In terms of my R2, I'm avoiding Gawn because I believe that Jackson will be taking more ruck minutes, so that'll reduce Gawn's scoring as a result. So I don't want premiums that are going to drop in price at the end of the day and have reduced roles that won't be sort of scoring friendly. And also with Darcy, so he lacks durability, that's the worry there. But additional to that, Lloyd Meek is a solid ruckman for Fremantle, so I think there's also a risk that those two might be sharing ruck minutes for quite a portion of the season, which will hurt Darcy's scoring. So given that lack of confidence, I went with Witts, who is the underpriced premium through the ruck. So Witts, he could average maybe 95, maybe 100, so that's roughly what I'm expecting there. And as others drop in price and Witts goes up in price, I can always switch to it, whether it's a Gawn, whether it's a Darcy, pretty easily at some point, I feel. And as insurance on the bench, having Bruce, I wouldn't be comfortable having him as R2 just because of the durability issues. But as a bench option, I think he's going to make more money at the end of the day than Sam Hayes, where Bruce is a genuine number 1 ruck. Hayes, he's going to be presumably asked to be really that number 2 ruck, who is mostly forward, just relieving through the rucks. So given Bruce can score more, yeah, look, I just think as that sort of, I guess, backup, he's really good insurance, if nothing else, assuming he's, of course, healthy and playing in that number 1 ruck for the Giants, which I am expecting. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with Bruce here. If he was more expensive, I'd be a bit more hesitant, but at this price point, at least for this year, I'm pretty comfortable doing that, despite sort of, I guess, leaving money sitting on the bench, which isn't usually optimal for scoring, but I'm happy to do that this year. So forwards, again, there's a lack of durability, but the scoring opportunities is just through the roof with each of these guys. So Dunkley, grossly underpriced, is basically a captain option. So as long as he plays heavily through the midfield, he can increase his average. So, and he should be your F1. He's just that high of a scorer. Other than maybe Butters is probably the only one I think who does have the scope to outscore him, and he's sort of my F2. So, yeah, with Butters, I'm really expecting a big season. And we saw through preseason last year, start of last year as well, sort of the capabilities of Butters and how good he is before he got hurt. So, yeah, look, assuming he's healthy, he's going to play a prominent midfield role and he's going to boost his scoring in a big way. So, yeah, watch out for Butters. I'd say you should probably have him in your team. And I'd say the same of Heaney, underpriced, and I think he's a top 6 scoring forward. So I don't see any reason he shouldn't be in there. He's going to play a heavy midfield role. So as long as Heaney's healthy, I don't really see a problem there. Canelio, look, he was a shadow of himself last year. Hopefully he can get back to being the footballer that we know he can be. So it's not like he's 30 plus. So yeah, we just really need to see him through the midfield and playing good footy. If he is, he's probably going to rise as much in value as anyone this year. So he could go back to being maybe it's whether it's a 90 average or whatever it is. I think he's got those sort of capabilities still. So have to see, but yeah, I'm at least optimistic with Canelio until he proves that I shouldn't be. So Curnow, underpriced, and I think he'll score reasonably. So I think he goes for roughly, maybe it's a 75 average. So I think that's pretty solid at this price point. So yeah, at this stage I've got him in. Maybe again in the preseason supplemental period, if there's some outstanding options that emerge, maybe I get rid of Curnow. So we'll have to see there. But at this stage he's in. And then Will Brodie. So again, is he best 22? Not sure. If he is, I'm very comfortable with him because he could go for 90 to 100 average if he's a midfielder. So he's just that high level of an accumulator. So yeah, comfortable with Brodie in that sense in terms of scoring upside, but of course job security. Don't know if his best 22, is he a sub risk? So it's a bit like that Constable issue where is he really that guy? Don't know. So he could well go from my team. We'll have to see if he holds his spot, and that's dependent on what he does through preseason and how he looks then. McGuinness, have to see, is he going to be a midfield or a forward? What sort of blend? Is he going to play enough midfield? There's sort of the things I'm looking at, and is he a definite best 22 player? Not yet sure. He'd be in that mix, no doubt, but we'll have to see in preseason if he's going to be sort of that round one option. But yeah, at this stage is one of the better of a pretty ordinary cohort of forwards or rookie price forwards. And then Elijah Hollands. So top 10 pick the other year. So yeah, look, is someone who now that he's healthy should, assuming named round one, be in your team. And he'll play a mix of probably half forward midfield. So probably a bit on the outside as well. So they're the sort of things you'd be thinking of there. But look, he can find enough of the footy where as a bench option, he's terrific. And you could, at a push, have him on your field. But yeah, look, I'd ideally prefer him on my bench. So thanks for watching, guys. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future updates. And expect over the coming weeks as well. So there will be more Supercoach and AFL fantasy content, but there's also going to be a substantial amount of draft-related content. So there's some special surprises coming. So yeah, do make sure you've subscribed and hit the notification bell for that. Additionally, those that aren't aware, I've started a new channel, Chris Dorry Invests. And yeah, if you haven't gotten behind me on there, please do. All the subscriptions and all the views certainly help the YouTube algorithm. And it's something where I really want to help people become financially educated and really, I guess, be able to make sound financial decisions so that you really can live the life that you want to live at the end of the day. And really, I guess, have the freedom and flexibility to really do with your lives what you want to. So yeah, there's the video that in particular has really, I guess, gone off and really impressed in terms of how many views I've got is actually my video regarding crypto. So if you want some insight into the crypto market and the best kept secret in crypto, well, you know where to go. But anyway, guys, see you in the next video.